Stop taking notes. And I has entered in our life very, very fluently and to a great extent. Perfect. So this is our day 6 for your basic to pro copy content writing session. Me and Prashant were talking before this about how the course is. He says good. And you are Prashant only, right? Or you've joined from some other ID? Perfect. You are Prasant, the famous Prasant. So let's start our tonight's session, which is on audience understanding and brand identity. You may have heard a lot of times from me that audience is important. You should know your audience. It depends on your audience. This is how your audience should look like. How all things we will, whatever we do it for an audience and all in all. So today we will know who are these char log. Before this brand identity audience name, I kept it char log को जान लेते हैं because everybody says right चार लोग क्या कहेंगे. So the first slide is setting up the ground rules where I want you to understand everything basics about our class. Keep your mics on mute. I am an energy craver. I want you guys to open up your camera and ask questions in between whenever and wherever you feel like, and take screenshots with, if possible for you, physical notes. So these 6 things we will be covering today. Why knowing your audience matters, the importance of audience understanding, how to create detailed audience persona, defining brand identity, and aligning it with audience expectation. That is very important. This fourth point becomes the bridge where we as writers connect. Fifth, I've shared a few examples that help us understand how it all connects with our audience. And last is some practical techniques. You know, when you go and ask for permission to go on school trip, be the part of that annual function, you know how you want to frame your sentence, right? To get into that particular trip or that competition. You know how to get the permission of your parents. How you react, how you act will tell how your parents are going to act. And so here we can say you know your audience quite well. And so understanding audience as a writer becomes very important, you know, because this sets the foundation, the basis of effective communication. You will now know what kind of references, analogies, words you should be writing. Because writing without knowing your audience or knowing what kind of words they resonate more with may just look very dark, very unnecessary for everyone. So, a clear picture of audience helps us to understand um, who we are talking to, who we are communicating to. Make sense, Prashant? I also have a question for you, Prashant. Why are you not opening up your camera? Batao, batao. Are you shy? trending from somewhere else. Last time also you were somewhere else. Okay, cool. Okay. So that is why knowing your audience is important. Let's also take another example of you bump into a very fine person, be it a man or a woman. You find yourself uh, stunned for a couple of seconds and you start thinking, how can I approach this person? This person looks very hi-fi, so I need to be able to talk in English. Then you start decoding that, oh, they might be from this place, that place, they might be doing this, that they must be model or influencer, right? This is how we start breaking down in our mind before approaching that person who is intimidating, or our crush, or a person who is a best friend of yours now, who you're taking the money, lending the money from. So when we do this in our personal environment, we do the same for the brand environment. We do this to know more about that person. But brand is communicating to a big pool, right? So how then they will communicate? So you'll have to go and dig a little deeper and understand this. That's why knowing our audience matters the most. Now, if we talk about understanding our audience, it becomes another important aspect of it. See, तुमने जान लिया है that you want to talk to people of 18 to 24 years of age or 35 to 60 years of age. ठीक है? You know that they might be diabetic, they might be very healthy, they might be super lazy, they might be parent of two, they might be parent of one, they might be doing IT jobs. You now know your parents. But understanding has more than these three questions: who they are, what they need. So, who they are is the first thing in knowing your audience, which covers age, location, interests, etc. But what they need is the beginning of understanding our audience. You know what they is their pain point traffic. So, can I, involve my content around something which talks about traffic and then integrate, let's say, a snack on the go kind of thing. So, when you find the pain point or the goal, it becomes easy for you to connect. Now, connect to that emotion, to that motivation, to that uh, mindset. Now, when you're communicating it, the third point becomes very important after you've set up the base camp and start you start moving towards all these places in terms of blogs, articles, copywriting, whatever it is. How do they communicate? It is important to first know how do they communicate. Are they communicating in memes? Are they communicating in reels? Are they more into articles? Are they more into newsletters? Are they doing LinkedIn search more? Are they more on chat GPT? In one line, content writing. Okay. So when I say content writing is a big umbrella under which everything comes, even copywriting, script writing, everything. But in places where we want to talk about all of these things, we divide all these things. So when I'm saying content writing, it covers blogs. In this particular reference, content writing covers blogs, articles, white paper, and case study. Basically, all the formats which are informative. Whereas copywriting is a part of advertising. In copywriting, we persuade. There is a whole session on that particular thing only, what copywriting is. But right now, the difference between just informing and building brand loyalty, and in copywriting, you use all these things, information, data, everything to persuade them and to sell them. Perfect. So this becomes something which is comprehending for us before we start speaking. How do they communicate? Which is important. Their tone, their language, platform preferences, everything comes into it. Now there are tools that we can use to do all these things. But imagine, oh, there was a pro tip in that. While content builds a relation, copy closes the deal. Basically, what I was saying, content is loyalty. In our reference, content means copyright. Content means blogs, articles, case studies, white papers. And copywriting is advertisement part of it. Now, there are certain tools that we can use. But imagine before all this internet, how writers used to write for that segment audience, how they must be getting to know the communication style of that particular target audience. They had to go out, they had to see which copy as in book has sold many copies, what kind of paper are people studying, newspaper, what kind of conversation is going on. So that becomes important. In our time, we have tools. We can use n number of tools. Some of them are social media analytics. And this is not just social media analytics, but analytics overall. Your blogs, your articles, your website, everything has analytics. So reading analytics becomes very important. That also gives us clarity which area, which city or people are actually reading our content, interacting with our content, what number of people tapped on the link. This gives us idea. Okay, these many people are doing this. Is it because my copy? Is it because my design? Is it because my targeting? Then you start talking about all these things, right? So social media analytics and analytics overall. Surveys and feedback forms. This is a very slow process, but a very effective process where you make Google Forms and ask people to fill those forms for you. You take feedback forms from people who have taken your services, your products, your, let's say, mm, yeah, basically service or product. Other examples might not fit in, but then you take feedback forms. There was this, there is this founder of one big Indian company which has made big now. He was sharing that feedback forms became a very big, major changing factor for his business. He used to call up himself, call their customers himself. The founder is calling the customers and asking their feedbacks. And then they had the physical form because they knew that their customers want more human interaction. So they used to call up people and they used to fill up their physical forms for the survey and data. So that's how he got to know that people are looking for gifting articles more. So he introduced gifting articles. He learned that people are looking to have testers of certain, let's say, fragrances. So that's how feedback forms helps us to understand what kind of things people are actually looking for. Competitor analysis. There are a lot of tools, online tools you can go search. They will give you limited access, but you will get to know what brands in the same field gives you, the what kind of people are interacting with your competitors, brands in your same niche. So all this becomes important. And example here is a skincare brand targeting teenagers might focus on acne solutions, right? Because they might find acne coming in. So using casual and relatable language and advertising it on Instagram or TikTok can be something which gets the attention of people who are teenagers. Now, as simply as I'm saying it, this process takes a time. This process takes its time, and it takes a huge amount of patience, because you cannot just rely on one data, one place data, one analytic. You have to go on multiple places, understand, see what things are going, go through their posts, comments on their blogs. All these things you have to notice. After that, you build everything. So it takes time. Now, how you create a audience persona? ये सारी बातें अपन ने करी. Now I want to give you an understanding that how much patience it will take, and I want to break it down for you, a general idea on how creating audience persona is. So first, what is an audience persona? Audience persona is a semi-fictional representation of our ideal audience. और इसको समझें better तरीके से, तो it is kind of what I was sharing earlier, that you are thinking of that person who crossed your path, that okay, this person might be rich, might be this, English is a suitable language, they must be coming from here, there. So that is what this analogy is, audience persona in brand identity major. Perfect. Makes sense for you, Prashant, till now? I believe yes. So how to build one? You have to take these pointers into consideration. Name your audience. Let's say I've given student Sarah. You have to make it for a person. It's not for a bunch, for a person. So it can be Sarah, it can be Prashant, it can be Renuka, it can be Xavier. So you write the name, then you write the demographics. What is the age of Sarah or whatever name you have taken? You write the gender of that person. You write where this person is residing, where this person can be residing. This is fictional, okay? So you then go on to write interests and goals. Now you think that your brand is targeting to teenagers with acne solutions. So now you start thinking that okay, Sarah is in this age, her gender is female, and she lives in tier one, let's say Bombay. Her interests can be to socialize, get on events, and do music, sketching. She might also like to walk. And then goals. Goals has all the motivations in there. Now, Sarah's goal might be to go on long walks without having any tan, or without having any worry for having an oily skin because of acne. So her goal is to be free out from all these things. Pain points. Then you see what challenges they might be facing. It can be their bad sleeping issue, which you can help. Now, you are a cosmetic brand, okay? You cannot solve for sleeping issues, but you're just factoring in everything right now. Pain points can be bad eating habits, sleeping habits, wrong products, less education or less awareness about the products that they're using, not proper and timely use of products. I'm just giving a random example that one should apply sunscreen 5 to 10 minutes before they go out in the sun so that it soaks in and everything. So, this is like less awareness on how to use products. There are tools, Prashant, but then the tools gives you a very idealistic thing. You need to get on these things and understand for yourself and then go to tools. Now, platforms, you have to see what platforms they spend time. This will then require for you to go out and research a little bit, and also you can do fictional as well. But Instagram is very common, और उसके लिए आगे कैसे करें वो देखना रहेगा. Now, this is an example of persona. You see, fitness enthusiast Aima, age is this, pain point ये हो सकते हैं, उसके गोल ये हैं, और preferred platforms जो हैं वो ये हैं. Sorry. Now, defining brand identity. अभी तक हमने है ना दो पार्ट पे बात कर रहे हैं, ऑडियंस और ब्रांड. अभी तक हमने ऑडियंस पे बात करी, हाउ वी डेवलप ऑडियंस, हाउ वी मेक ऑडियंस पर्सोना, एंड हाउ वी अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट थिंग्स आर इंटरेस्टिंग फॉर देम. नाउ वी विल टॉक अबाउट ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी. ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी क्या होता है, वो जरूरत क्या है ब्रांड को एक आइडेंटिटी. सो ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी इज बेसिकली पर्सनैलिटी, वैल्यूज एंड वॉइस ऑफ अ ब्रांड. Now, Prashant is known amongst his friends for a certain kind of behavior, format of words, tone, हरकतें. तो उसके लिए प्रशांत फेमस है, right? Now, this brand identity is similar to this. This brand is somewhere something related to that. Second is key elements of brand identity. अब ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी में बहुत सारी चीजें आ जाती है, सिर्फ पर्सनालिटी, वैल्यू, वॉइस नहीं होती है, इनके अंदर काफी काम करना पड़ता है. जैसे पर्सनालिटी, अच्छा ये कॉपी सेम ही हो गया है वहां पे. की एलिमेंट्स ऑफ पर्सनालिटी जो हो जाते हैं ना, वो बहुत सारी चीजों पे अंदर वेरी करते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दिस हेल्प्स टू ब्रेक डाउन एंड अंडरस्टैंड पीपल in understanding the brand in terms of people. You see here, mission, vision, and visual identity. These becomes the major important factor for it. Mission, vision. What does the brand stands for? Tone and voice. Is my brand formal, casual, playful, or professional? Visual identity. आप ये सारी चीजें बताते हो उनको. किसको बताते हो? ब्रांड को बताते हो. अगर कोई नया ब्रांड आपके पास आया, और अगर नहीं आया है, तो आप पुराने ब्रांड की इस ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी को स्टडी करते हैं. और एज अ कंज्यूमर भी हम इस ब्रांड आइडेंटिटी को पढ़ते हैं. अगर आप किसी वेबसाइट पे जाओगे, यू गो टू द अबाउट सेक्शन ऑफ दैट ब्रांड्स वेबसाइट, you get to see what is their mission, what are their vision. And when you read this, you get an idea that, oh, they are very serious in their, manner of writing. So they might be very serious. Visual identity पे जाते हो आप, are they very colorful, is their logo very big, व्हाट इज इट। तो आप ये सारी चीजें करते हैं। एंड फॉर एग्जाम्पल नाइकी, Nike's brand identity revolves around inspiration, empowerment, confidence, being athletic. That is what Nike promotes. Become athletic. Now, when you know what your um, audience is doing, what they want, you develop the brand identity, and brand identities key element you also got to know. You started developing those things. Then comes aligning your audience with the brand identity. Now, this becomes a very crucial thing. Why? Because you have to now align, you have to now bridge up the gap between the two. And this will set the course for audience, which we were talking about, and the brand. And now is the place where we writers come in. So you see, this is important for you to understand how things in the background works. Whatever we see, it is not just one thing that we are seeing in front of it. Uske piche itna gaya hai. So now whenever someone says to you, you can also say that you know how to draft brand identity, you can research about brand identity, and you can also decode the brand identity. This is a big full spoon scoop for a great um, I would say portfolio thing, because if you make a persona and then you make a copy or content piece around it, that will be great. That will be like a great addition for people to understand certain things, that how you work. Now, why is it important to align the audience with the brand identity? If your brand is not aligned with the audience, let's say I'm talking in a very wise owl manner, which is not something my teenage audience wants to listen. They'll just swipe out. They'll so nowadays, if you see Gen Zs, you might also relate to it, Prashant. We tend to choose that not interested, don't show me this content again, to clear out our feed. है ना? So this is important. अगर हम लोगों ने वो connection नहीं रखा, they will just after 2 3 posts, they just do not interested, and then algorithm will pick it up and tell us that okay, bye bye, not something, you're not getting anything from us now. Second, if you want to achieve this, not the uninterested part, you want to get into the feed of people, we need to research on the tone and the messaging. Now, let's say Gen Zs are talking in a very, upbeat tone. Forget about Gen Zs. 25 to 35-year-old people are transitioning in 2 3 different phases of their life. They are getting into their jobs, they are getting married, some of them are becoming parents. So there are a lot of things going on, right? Now you have to adapt to their tone. How are they talking? Are they talking in the nostalgic way? Are they frustrated? What is that one emotion that is majorly, observed by you in the whole space? And then you message it in that way. Your message should never be something which uh, shows down or looks down on people. किसी को नीचा दिखाने वाला कंटेंट कभी नहीं होना चाहिए आप, क्योंकि वो ऑडियंस भग जाएगी. तो आपकी मैसेजिंग फिर क्लियर होना चाहिए. हाउ आर यू मेकिंग देम फील गुड अबाउट what outcome can come from your product or services. Also, people tend to communicate in different ways on different platforms. So you have to adapt to that as well. You cannot be the same on LinkedIn as you are on Instagram. There needs to be a slight difference. And ghostwriting basically means you will not get credit, Prashant. That is ghostwriting. For example, you write for my LinkedIn post, so people get to know that it is me who has written the post, not Prashant. And the last point is important because consistency sometimes gets lost when we start writing content, because we see there is a rhythm and a flow building up. So keep the messaging consistent across different platforms. Also, there's a pro tip. Think of a brand, of your brand as a person. This makes your life easy, because then you will not be looking at as a corporate thing, and you will be looking at as a person you want to create, a character you are creating. So then what will you be saying as a person? Yes, the messaging differs. Because सी प्रशांत, अगर मुझे एक्ने प्रोडक्ट बेचना है, मैं अटक गया हूँ क्या? मेरा वीडियो अटक गया है? नहीं, सही है। अगर मुझे एक्ने प्रोडक्ट बेचना है ऑन इंस्टाग्राम, तो मैं शायद मीम साइड पे ज्यादा जाऊंगा, क्योंकि लोग शेयर करेंगे, वहां पे शेयर करने का ऑप्शन बहुत आसान है, राइट? और अगर मेरे को एक्ने लिंक्डइन पे सेल करना है, तो मैं उसको फिर थोड़ा सा घुमा के दूंगा, और उसको ऐसा कहूंगा कि आपको मीटिंग में जाना है, योर कॉन्फिडेंस इज इम्पोर्टेंट, you've been up all night, and your acne has started to get more on your skin, let's say. So how do you cover it? You use our instant, let's say, cream to cover it up, or foundation, or whatever it is. But then your perspective differs in all these situations according to the platform. Now you see there is a practical technique to make this this all whole of this session more easy for you. I have adapted is adapted it and given, the name empathy map. You can find it on internet as well. It's the same. So you create a chart with these four quadrants. You write four things: what they want, and by they it is your audience; what they think, what they feel, what they do, what your audience say, everything about them. So this quadrant, then you start using this quadrant. What they think they are ambitious. What they feel lack of knowledge. What your audience says, um, what your audience says, you then have to find out. What they do is then you find out. They do yoga more, or they do cribbing or yapping more. So you do all of these things. With this, there is another important, again I'll repeat myself, which I said initially. किसी भी ऑडियंस को नीचा मत दिखाना, उनको ग्रो करना पसंद है, उनको ग्रो करवाना अपने हर कंटेंट पीस के साथ, उनका हंसी ग्रो करवाना, उनका ज्ञान बढ़वाना, उनका मोटिवेशन बढ़ाना, and stay updated with the trends, which is very important. Now, एक सेकंड। Now, this is an activity. You build a persona. And for persona, I'm giving you a scenario. Imagine you are marketing a new eco-friendly water bottle. So then you have to create a persona now for your ideal customer. It will have who they are, what they care about, how you speak to them. I've given you an example persona, but you have to build on it. You have to build your own persona now. It will look like this example persona name Sustainable Sam, age 30, interest environmental activists, hiking, pain points concerned about plastic waste, preferred platforms Reddit and Instagram. Now it depends on you. You have to create another persona now. So let's personify the brands. Anything that you want to ask, Prashant? You've taken the screenshot of it first. Tell me the activity. Perfect. Anything that you want to ask, Prashant? यार प्रशांत तुम्हारे ऊपर तो बहुत अभी मीम बने होंगे यार, ये क्रोसों और प्रशांत वाला जो चला था. अरे यार वेरी हार्ड टाइम. बिग टाइम बिग टाइम. But yeah, cool. I think there is another live session tomorrow. You'll get updated in the group. Till then, um, let's stay connected and let's do a lot of things. Bye, Prashant. Good night.